No more space to bury the dead. Ministry of Health Committee declares the Langata Cemetery a health disaster and orders for its closure.
Christians mark Palm Sunday. Faithful gather in worship centers and stage processions to celebrate Palm Sunday.
The deceased happened to be there before even the building tilted. We tried to be able to evacuate and remove him before. It was impossible.
Probing safety lapses. 2 county officials suspended as the body of Yusuf Ali Abdi, who has been missing for 10 days, is retrieved from Mombasa demolished house debris.
Hawa watu wanaosema ati yale tunasema haitafanyika, tutawaaibisha.
I will silence my naysayers. President Ruto vows to deliver on election pledges.
And welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Yulanzale. Now, families of deceased persons in Nairobi will soon be required to seek alternative burial sites in the neighboring counties as the Ministry of Health wants Langata Cemetery closed.
A task force appointed to assess the graveyard says the 100-acre cemetery was declared full 20 years ago. And its continued use poses serious health risks to Nairobi residents.
Now, the committee wants the burial of bodies in shallow graves on top of other bodies to cease with immediate effect.
Let's hear more from Gatete Njoroge.
After 67 years and with over 57,000 bodies buried at Langata Cemetery, the national government now agrees it is time to close the cemetery as it is full. A task force appointed by the Ministry of Health to assess public health risks posed by the continued use of Langata Cemetery has recommended that the 100-acre cemetery be degazetted, a position endorsed by Public Health Principal Secretary Mary Mudhoni.
We want to safeguard the public health and promote a healthier and safer society. Therefore, on this issue of the cemetery, we are solidly behind the recommendations that were made by the select committee that they should be implemented to the last one.
The special committee has proposed that the county government acquires a new land, request for extension into the Ngong Forest, or reclaim back the 3 to 5 acres land where Royal Park Estate has been built, which was illegally grabbed.
Nairobi City County should reclaim grabbed land adjacent to the cemetery for expansion purposes. We advised that Nairobi City County to be compelled by the National Assembly to obtain all the necessary ownership of documentation for the said land.
The task force in its report says burying of bodies on top of the other in shallow graves poses a serious risk and wants the government to ban the practice.
The City County of Nairobi should ensure all burials taking place in that cemetery comply with public health legal requirements governing such practices to avoid infectious disease spread, social stigma, and pollution of the environment.
To safeguard the cemetery, which made headlines in October 2024 after a severely mutilated female body was found dumped, the committee proposed construction of a security fence to keep off unwarranted personnel, animals, and prevent further encroachment. The team, which comprised officers from Ministry of Health and Nairobi County Government, have urged Parliament to pass laws that will facilitate counties to set aside adequate land for burial purposes to decongest their cemeteries. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Two Mombasa County officials have been suspended as the county launches a probe into the collapse of an 11-story building.
Now, this search team has retrieved the body of a man who has been missing for the last 11 days from the debris of the demolished building.
Human rights groups are now calling for a speedy investigation and justice for the family of the late Yusuf Ali Abdi. Francis Mtalaki reports from Mombasa.
11 days after this 10-story building sank into the ground, leading to the death of Yusuf Ali Abdi, the search team finally retrieved his body from the rubble Sunday and later buried at Kikoani, Mombasa County. The family narrates their close to 2-week-long ordeal in search of their kin.
There is nothing has been hidden from us. Anything we say was taken into account. Any rumor we hear was being implemented.
The deceased happened to be there before even the building tilted. We tried to be able to evacuate and remove him before. It was impossible without having caused so much deaths on others who are going to be operating that area.
As part of ongoing investigations, one county official has been suspended while another sent on compulsory leave. Human rights groups in Mombasa are now calling for speedy investigations, accountability and justice.
Haki ifanywe, itekelezwe kwa familia. Ni wakati kama huu, hatutaki speculation. We demand investigation ifanywe kamilifu.
One person has been suspended, one person has been sent on compulsory leave. Allow me to be able to finalize on that particular report. And that report, as I had said, will be shared to yourselves. I will be there myself together with the team. And the team, by the way, is totally independent from any county government personnel.
Operations at the Coast General and Referral Hospital have resumed, with security agencies saying their main focus was to minimize casualties in what became the first ever controlled demolition using explosives in the country.
Tumeweza kuhamisha familia 60,000 people. Tumefunga hospitali na nafikiri ndio demolition ya kwanza kufanya kwa nchi ya Kenya, controlled demolition.
So we had to approach the demolition in a way that there is a minimal damage and loss of life.
20 ongoing construction works have been suspended across the county as investigations into the cause of the collapse of the ill-fated building continue. The suspended works had the same engineers, architects and county officials who were involved in the construction of the 10-story building. Francis Mtalaki, Citizen TV, Mombasa.
All right, let's switch gears altogether here. And Christian faithful from across the world have today marked Palm Sunday in the run-up to the Easter weekend.
In Kenya, the clergy called for political tolerance, urging the country's leadership to adopt a reconciliatory tone and foster national development.
And as our very own Laura General reports, the day was also marked with calls for the release of Kenyans who are still missing. Take a listen.
In spite of the light showers and gloomy weather on Sunday, hundreds of Christians held a procession in Kisumu as the main tradition during Palm Sunday to signify the triumphant entry of Jesus into Jerusalem. The consequent service conveying messages of reconciliation, urging the political class to mend the failing public trust and ensure good governance.
Hakuna uongozi bora. Uongozi ule uko ni kama ule ulikuwa na wa makuhani na waandishi kwa wakati ule Yesu alikuweko. Kwa hivyo tuombe nchi yetu iwe na uongozi bora.
The most important thing in this world is the human person. If the human person is given peace and hope, then there is change, there is development that we desire in our country.
Similar processions were also held in Nyamira, Kisii, Nyahururu and Nyandarua counties, with the congregants also calling for forgiveness and unity amongst Kenyans.
Tukiombea si pamoja, mengi ambayo tunaona kama abduction sasa zitakuweko. because mmoja akipotea familia usambaratika. Wengi wanalia watoto wao bado hawajaonekana. Tunaombea pia.
That reflection involves the kids too, and the kids play a central role, so that they grow up not as people on whom Christianity has been imposed, but people who own religion and Christianity right from young age.
Palm Sunday marks the start of the final week of the Lent season in the Christian faith to usher Easter celebrations to mark the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
President William Ruto has promised to silence his naysayers who have labelled him a liar by delivering all the promises he made to Kenyans during and after his campaign.
That's right. The president, who spoke in Elgeyo Marakwet County during a church service, delved into the controversial echoes of war play by former UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala, saying he will do everything possible to protect the Kenyan children from those seeking to radicalize and weaponize them against authority. Let's get more from our very own Emmanuel Toe.
In yet another response to those who have been accusing him of being a liar, the president launched another fight back, seeking to shrug off the tag, which has gained momentum among his critics. Speaking in Kamngetik, Keyo South constituency, Elgeyo Marakwet County, Sunday, during an interdenominational church service, President Ruto said he will put to shame his doubters.
Naona kuna watu wako na wasiwasi. Wale wanasema hiyo amesema ni uongo, hiyo amesema. Mimi nataka niwaeleze hawa watu wanaosema ati yale tunasema haitafanyika, tutawaaibisha. In a very short while tutawashangaza.
The president adding that the remaining promises will be fulfilled in due course.
We are going to make sure that we acquit ourselves of every commitment we have made. Na mimi si wazimu, I know what I'm doing. So hii maneno yote tutapangana namna hiyo.
The head of state also appearing to delve into the recent drama surrounding the echoes of war play by former UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala, vowing to protect the children from being poisoned against their leaders.
We must equally protect all our children from pedophiles, from drug peddlers, and from those who want to corrupt our children and teach them to hate their parents or their teachers or their leaders or their nation.
Let us be mindful of the soul and the mind of our children, because whatever they will consume is that which will destroy them.
The president also saying he will continue with his contributions in churches, terming those opposed to the practice as envious people.
Nitapangana na hawa kabla sijaondoka, tumalize hiyo kazi imebaki na nini. Sitaki kutangaza hapa, kuna watu wengi wenye wako na wipu.
Mimi kama governor nasimamia mahospitali 131. Yote hiyo ya excellency nimeregister yote kwa SHA, 131 hospitals.
When Flospa was working, we had around 3,000 people employed directly by Flospa. When Flospa was working, we had almost 10,000 families benefiting indirectly through Flospa.
This as the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, defended the pace at which the government is delivering its promises, saying the plan was on course.
This administration is keen to bring equality and equity across Kenya, to make sure that every community, every county, every place in Kenya is treated equally and has equal opportunities to access government services and government opportunities.
President Ruto is expected to tour Narok County on the first week of May after his state visit to China next week. Emmanuel Toe, Citizen TV.
All right, at the same time, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has dismissed the report on the helicopter crash which killed Chief of Defense Forces General Francis Ogola and 9 other military personnel. While trashing the findings that the crash was due to an engine malfunction, Kalonzo demanded an independent inquiry into Ogola's death. Willie Lusige reports.
Just days after the Ministry of Defense released its finding attributing the April 18, 2024 helicopter crash to an engine failure, the opposition has poked holes in the report, casting doubt on its credibility.
What has happened is whitewashing the situation. No Kenyan will believe that story. The only way to believe the story is to have an independent inquiry. General Ogola was taken out. He was taken out.
While speaking in Kitui on Palm Sunday, Musyoka criticized the Ministry of Defense for what he called a lack of transparency, arguing that the report failed to detail the root cause of the engine failure.
Puts the blame to the failure of an engine of an aircraft. Don't forget, these are army aircraft. Don't forget that these aircrafts are well maintained, well serviced, and an aircraft carrying a Chief of General Staff of the Army cannot be just taken that lightly.
But because of the Tonje rules, there was no way General Ogola was not to become the next head of our military, the CDF. So he was taken out.
Kalonzo further emphasized that the investigation must be led by a credible and independent panel composed of individuals beyond the influence of government, warning that state-led investigations often serve as cover-ups.
We need an independent inquiry, possibly led by Parliament, because we cannot have a culture where military leaders are taken out, political leaders are taken out. These helicopter crashes must end.
The opposition also condemned the assault on students of Butere Girls High School who were set to perform a play titled Echoes of War during the Kenya Schools and Colleges National Drama and Music Festival. Kalonzo saying the incident is part of growing trend to silence voices of the government critics. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki is hitting back at what he terms as cheap politics and misinformation aimed at derailing the government's development agenda.
Speaking in Kiambaa in Kiambu County, Kindiki assured residents that the Kenya Kwanza administration is not only on track but also fully equipped to deliver on its promises. He dismissed critics as political opportunists out to mislead the public. Melita Olatengus has more.
Just a week after President William Ruto's high-profile tour of the Mount Kenya region, the Kenya Kwanza leadership was back in Kiambu, this time led by Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, with a bag of development goodies and a stern political message. The DP, who led an empowerment program targeting women and youth in Kiambaa constituency, declared this moment a turning point for all stalled projects inherited from the previous regime.
Niko na habari njema. Habari njema ni kwamba sasa hivi tunavyoongea, serikali imepata rasilimali na pesa ya kutosha ya kukwamua na kukamilisha barabara zote ambazo zilikuwa zimekwama hapa Kiambu, hapa Central na Kenya mzima.
While Kiambu County has shown mixed reactions to President Ruto's leadership in recent past, Kindiki came out strongly to defend the government and his boss and called on Mount Kenya residents to remain steadfast and not to be swayed by naysayers.
So Mungu mtu asiwatishe sijui yako na solution, sijui yeye ndiye kusema, mwenye kusema ako mbinguni. Sisi ni watu wa kufanya mapenzi ya Mwenyezi Mungu.
Na ndio maana mkiona sisi tumekwamilia kwa hii serikali, ni sababu sisi Kiambu ndio tuliunda hii serikali without any apologies to anybody. Sisi kura zetu ndio zilikuwa nyingi kabisa of all counties in the Republic of Kenya. Hii watu wa Kiambu ndio walipea William Ruto kura nyingi zaidi.
Sasa nikuulize, mumeenda kupanda mahindi, umeongoja imefunwa, imepelekwa kwa store, imesiagwa, umeweka ugali kwa mesa, Wakati ugali wewe umesa mtu anakuambia tupige teke hii ugali, twende tutafute ingine hatujui. Hiyo inawezekana hiyo.
With the opposition accusing the government of focusing development on politically friendly regions, Kindiki maintained that no part of the country will be sidelined. The leaders also dismissed those criticizing their donations to churches and community initiatives, saying they owe no apologies for giving back. Melita Oletinges, Citizen TV.
All right, from Melita, we go to our guest today. We've been telling you all evening long. He is a controversial playwright who's been writing plays for the last 30 years or so. And the latest one, Echoes of War, is the one that's really raising eyebrows. Cleophas Malala, former UDA Secretary General, is in the house right here. Joins us live.
Yes, he is. I'm curious. You know, when the Kalonzo story was ending, there was those images of that tear gas in Nakuru. But when you went to Kirobon School on Thursday night, you know, to rehearse ahead of the Friday show, were you not concerned that it is late? This is a girls' school.
No. When I went to Kirobon High School, I went there at around 4 p.m. And drama rehearsals, if you've been in a school setup, are done between games time and 9-10 p.m. And it doesn't mean that if it's a girls' school, that nobody who is male is supposed to come in. So if that argument is advanced, then all cooks will be female, all watchmen will be female, all teachers will be female. And therefore, that mind of a person thinking that it is dangerous for a renowned director like me to train a girls' school, I think it is myopic. I have been training Butere girls for the last 15 years. They have done my 15 plays. Of the 82 plays, Butere girls have done 15. And therefore, it is in bad faith for you to deny a child an opportunity to be prepared. We had to train the girls at night because the girls had traveled all day from Butere. When they arrived at Kirobon at around 3-4, they were locked into a room and told not to rehearse. And then they were told, you will perform the following day at 6 a.m. In the history of drama festivals, no item has ever been performed at 6. So to me, I thought this was a strategic step to ensure that the innocent girls of Butere girls are denied their rights to present. They were told to present without props. The lorry that was carrying their props and deckers was blocked at Salga. So what kind of leadership is this that is competing with innocent girls? And then they were forced to be escorted on stage with armed police officers. In this time and age, you still use excessive force on innocent girls? So I want to call upon, I have seen the president committing that is going to deal with those people interacting. I hope this is not another lie. I hope he is committed to that resolve. When you trace the history of the person who is trying to bring order in these echoes of war, trace the history of his hate to children, all the way from Kiamba Church to Langata School saga, to abductions of our children, now
was he,
to Butere girls.
Was he, you know, I don't know, was he directly linked to what happened in Kiamba? Those are very serious allegations.
I'm saying trace the history. They are documented in court sessions, international court sessions. Those are not my words. Dig the archives of international courts.
Would you want him to watch the play?
I would urge him. First of all, even if he cannot give the girls an opportunity, let him read the text of that play. The text of that play has no offensive language at all.
So there is no chanting in the play that goes, Ruto must go.
The play is circulated all over media. The play is an artistic play. In fact, set in a fictitious setup of, in the Middle East. We have a person there called Sultan. I don't have a character called William Ruto. So why does he think that that Sultan is him? That play exposes the ever-widening gap between the young generation and the older generation across the world. Last year you saw the Gen Zs in Kenya, in Uganda, in Nigeria, in Syria. So this play addresses that concern across the world, not in Kenya. Why is Museveni not complaining about echoes of war? Why?
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Cleophas Malala, he's in the House. He's defending his play, Echoes of War. He's written 82 of them. 82 plays.
You said in 25 years?
Yeah, 25 years.
Wow. Amazing.
You're a playwright yourself?
Well, once upon a time. Before he was born.
Oh, yes.
But we're going to hear more from him in the next block. So, folks, stay tuned. Do not even think of touching that dial, because we're back in a little short while. At Koinange Jeff.
At Barrows at Citizen TV Kenya.
The hashtag is Sunday Live. Sunday Live takes a break. We'll be back. It is exactly 31 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Sunday Live here at Citizen Television. As we went to break, we were talking to Cleophas Malala, the controversial playwright, director of many, many plays that have won many, many awards across the country. His latest one, Echoes of War, is the one that's generated the most controversy. It was supposed to be performed by Butera Girls, and in the end, it wasn't performed, and it's raised a whole host of questions, more questions than answers. So we're going to try and get them answered, and that's why he's live in the studio here today. Cleophas, real quick, you were removed as Secretary General of UDA.
Yep.
When you wrote this play, was this sort of a revenge on the Kenya Kwanza government?
Jeff, I started conceptualizing the idea of this play in June, immediately after the Gen Z demonstrations. By then, I was still the Secretary General of UDA. I do not write plays because of my personal perception of life. I write plays, I'm inspired by the events unfolding in our society. And therefore, it would be wrong for somebody to say that I write plays to revenge or to advance my political agenda. I have done plays on social topical issues. This year, I have done play on doping. I have done plays on dissemination of information on HIV/AIDS. I have done, this year, I did a play on the plight of police officers. And therefore, I just choose a topical section in the society and do a creative piece out of it. And therefore, it is wrong. I do not intend to advance any political agenda using my plays.
And I get why Jeff asked the question, because I just Googled Malala Gen Z protests, right? Citizen Digital reported on July 3rd of 2024, just fresh off the Gen Z protest. Remember, the 25th of June was very pivotal, 2024. And this is the headline: UDA claims rejected politicians, NGOs sponsoring violence during Gen Z protests. Have you not now changed tune?
No, I did not. You know, that was a party's position. The play does not advance anybody's position. It has workshopped the events of the Gen Z demonstration and come up with a perception on how that problem can be sorted out. And therefore, that was a party's position. I was the Secretary General. The Secretary General is the spokesperson of a party. I do not speak for myself as Secretary General. I speak for the party. And therefore, whatever was said then was the position of UDA party.
So that was not your personal position?
That was not my personal position.
Tell me something. Did the script change from the regional competition to what we call was, I guess, provincial, or to the final? Did it change in between? I
wrote this script and I made a commitment even to the cast, because last year we did not perform very well with the girls because the play kept on changing and they did not have time to internalize the play. I made a personal commitment to them this year that I'm going to give them a full script and we will do very minimal changes. The adjudication sheets from the sub-county to the county and the regional level, all adjudication sheets, we had 9 adjudicators appointed by the Ministry of Education. They gave it a green light. They said, this is a wonderful script. So at what point did they start seeing change in that script? The script that was performed at regionals was given a green light by 3 adjudicators, and we scored 90%. 90%. And they said these are wonderful script. The adjudication sheets are documents before the court, and nobody should be incriminated for changing. No rule says that you cannot change a script. Pieces of work grow.
So what changed?
Maybe, and you see the people who said change, I have seen some letter circulating in the social media of the principal trying to put blame on the drama patron to show cause why the script changed. I want to say here, and let her challenge me, the principal of Butere Girls watched the play the first time at regionals. He had never watched the play before. So her writing a letter wanting to put now blame on an innocent teacher whose work was purely administrative. You all know the drama patron's work is purely administrative. So why would you want now to put all this load on an innocent teacher? The principal is retiring in 2 months' time, and therefore she does not want to spoil her career, and therefore she has taken all this load, placed it on the drama patrons. I want to say that that is very unfair. And the principal is doing that, not from her own instructions, but from instructions from above. Mm-hmm. And therefore, they want to put all this load. The person who wrote Echoes of War is Cleophas Malala. The person who directed Echoes of War is Cleophas Malala. If they have a question on the content of the Echoes of War, they should ask me.
And no one's asking you?
Nobody's asking me. Now they want to put all this blame on innocent teachers.
You didn't get any warnings over this script?
I have adjudicators' comments sheet from sub-county. We scored 79%. At counties, we scored 89%, number one. At regionals, we scored 90%. And therefore, it shows you, if there were any changes, there were positive changes to improve the item.
Okay, there's something you said. You talked about before the girls were set to perform, their props were detained at Salga, I believe you said. So one of the concerns that we've seen, making the rounds on social media is that the placards that were going to be used to demonstrate protests were provocative.
You see, you cannot adjudicate a play before you watch it. Mm-hmm. You cannot adjudicate a play in Salga, and the festival is happening in Nakuru. They would have given those innocent girls an opportunity to showcase. And then after the performance, we would be accountable on the piece that is there. Mm. And therefore, people should just stop being paranoid and face realities.
But speaking of protests and placards and all that, I'm just coming round back to what you were saying about this was a party position, this was not my position. Why would you make a statement that you do not believe in?
You see, when you are a Secretary General, the constitution of the party dictates that you become the party's spokesperson. Recently, you saw Sifuna does not agree totally with the William Ruto's administration. But when they were going to sign an MOU at KICC, he had to speak on behalf of the party. I know Sifuna. Whatever he was reading was the position of the party. His position, we know. He does not agree with William Ruto. And therefore, when you are given an opportunity, and I want to believe, even you, Jeff and Vic.
Olive,
and Olive. You do not, all these things you are reading here, you do not read them on your behalf. You're reading them on behalf of the Royal Media Services. Mm. And therefore, I cannot hold you accountable on everything that you read here.
No, but you did hear Sifuna yesterday when he spoke about the government shooting itself in the foot.
That's his position. But on the issue of ODM working with UDA, he does not agree to that school of thought.
Back to the play. Again, we talked about earlier on, things like Ruto must go, and you heard Chief of Defence Forces, you heard the DG of the NIS saying those statements are very provocative. Don't you think that's a little too political, using it in a school play like that?
He says it was not on
It
the
was
script.
not.
Yeah, because there's no character called Ruto, there's a character called
Sultan.
But
Sultan
are there not parallel?
And even in the script, we do not have any slogan that goes "Sultan must go." Read the script. It's circulated all over social media. We do not have any word. I'm a renowned scriptwriter. I cannot be that pedestrian in scripting. I use symbols, I use idioms, I use metaphors. So it's upon you to interpret. And be it as it may, what is the mistake of saying Ruto must go? In 2006, Ruto himself used to say Kibaki must go. So was it right for him to say Kibaki must go in 2006, and it's now wrong for us to say Ruto must go? Where in the Kenyan constitution?
Tell me, at any one time, were you warned by the government about this play?
No. Government, let me tell you, during county festivals, the drama committee at county level received guests from the National Intelligence Service, the area OCPD, the entire security team came to watch that play. We had the chairperson of the drama committee, who is a principal. We had the Kakamega County education director was there. He watched the play. And the play was given number 1. They awarded the girls. We proceeded to the regionals. At the regionals, the chairperson of drama in Kenya, Professor CJ, was seated in that hall. The regional director of education was seated in that hall. The principal Butere Girls was seated in that hall. Every person who matters in the setup of drama and the education sector was seated in that hall. In fact, I even missed a seat. I sat on the floor watching my own play because the hall was packed. The results came out. The girls won. They awarded the girls. In fact, the regional director, the one who awarded the girls the trophy, they proceeded to national. So at what point now did they feel that it is offensive?
And I'm curious, what do you make of the response by the Interior Ministry, for instance, the Cabinet Secretary, saying that, you're using children to drive a political agenda?
Even the president said that earlier on today in church.
Mm-hmm. I think that is myopic. Huh? When you look at the set books these children read in school, all of them are political. All of them are political. The set book you did, during our days we did government inspector, yeah? A man of the people. So why do we imagine that these children do not know what is going on? So, and I want to tell Murkomen, these people you are calling children, they are seeing, they participate in the events of this country. They know what is going on. So when you call them children, they are not supposed to know anything. That is a mistake. As we speak right now, the caste that acted echoes of war. In 2027, there will be voters. So will you still call them children? No. And therefore, I am committed to ensure, I have said I will use an adult cast to perform the play, but before that performance, we must honor those young girls of Butere.
How are you going to do that?
By giving them an opportunity.
Where?
In any public event.
How?
Why? We can do it during...
You were tear-gassed the other day, as were journalists in Nakuru. You saw that, right?
Yes.
You were tear-gassed. I mean, where are they going to let you perform that play?
But you see, we also have other arms of government which make decisions. This is not a dictatorship. We exist within the limits of our laws. If the court declares so, who will this that will defy court orders?
What do you make, because you're talking about arms of government which make decisions. So the judiciary had said the girls should be given the opportunity to act out the play. And the CS for Education, Ogamba, says they were given the opportunity, they chose to sing the national anthem and get off the stage.
Victoria, it's not just an opportunity that we wanted. We wanted the girls to be given ample time and a good environment to perform their play. How do you take girls with police officers armed, standing at exits of the stage? telling the girls, go, they're intimidated. They don't have their decas. You've switched off the electricity of the hall so that they cannot even use their soundtracks. They thought those girls are children. You saw the heroic act they performed on stage, patriotism. And they told them now, between us and you, who are children.
Is it patriotism?
It is patriotism.
They would not perform the play without being present.
But how do you perform a play that you've not rehearsed? How do you perform a play without the stage properties? And those officials are seated there waiting for the girls to start performing. Surely.
At 6 a.m.
Yeah, at 6 a.m. No audience.
Tell me something. What happens now? Where do we go from here?
The Human Rights Commissioner and one of the old girls, and I want to celebrate Anifa Mango, who is the petitioner in this case. Anifa Mango was the lead character in 2013 in the play Shackles of Doom.
Mm-hmm.
That lady left school, pursued law. He is now an advocate of the High Court. When she heard that we have girls who have been denied opportunity, the way she was denied, almost denied an opportunity in 2013, she went to petition a case. So those two cases in court are going to ensure that we fight for the rights of the cast members. And we are going to advance it to a level whereby those girls must be compensated for their rights which were infringed.
What do you say to those who argue that non-teachers should not be allowed to script plays for school children?
It is quite sarcastic, paradoxic to advance that thought. The same people who are now saying that teachers should not, non-teachers should not teach drama students are the same people who did the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, which provides that they will invest in the creative industry. So are we now being told that the Kenya Kwanza administration now dictates that for you to be a creative arts expert, you must be a teacher? We are talking to the same people who are forcing the CBC curriculum, which demands for professionals to come and train students. So they are contradicting themselves. They have not workshopped their imagination for response. This thing caught them pants down and let them accept, be humble, and look for a resolution towards this.
If you're in the government right now, what would you tell them if you were in communication?
If I was in the government, I would ask William Ruto, be a father to these children. You cannot use force on our children. You cannot use dictatorship and intimidation on our children. Be a father. But also, I would, before I talk to William Ruto, I would use Mama Rachel Ruto to step into this. Because one, she's an old girl of Butere Girls. In fact, the patron of the Alumni Association of Butere Girls. If you cannot speak, when your own school is being disadvantaged, is being intimidated, is being tear-gassed, when will you speak, Mama Rachel Ruto? We need to hear your voice. Now, as a mother, how are we going to have a resolution to this matter? Every play has got a conflict and a resolution. Even in this play that is being acted now by non-cast members of Butere Girls, we have the Murkomen there trying to give certain solutions. We have got the president, we have got Malala, we have got the police officers. We have a conflict, yes, at the moment. But now, just as a normal play, we must now have a resolution for the benefit of the child of Butere Girls.
Should Kenyans expect to see this play anytime soon somewhere?
Oh, yes. The case, we've been given a date on 9th. Mm-hmm. And one of the orders that we are seeking now is to allow the girls to perform before an audience.
The same girls?
Yes. Before an audience, be it a school audience, but they must perform. Let them have that closure.
But right as of now, they're out of contention?
No, they are not participating in the festival. Huh?
Okay.
And you see this play, the main objective is to ensure that the girls are satisfied, so that they have a closure. We have candidates in this cast. How would they feel as they go to sit for their exams?
How would the president feel if the girls had won
And he had to sit through the play?
And they had to perform at State House.
And if I was William Ruto,
yes,
he has a state concert. The state concert is not a competition. Let him invite the girls. If he doesn't like Malala, say, don't come with Malala here. Come, perform before me, let me enjoy, have tea with the girls, have resolution, show fatherly warmth to the father. So I want to challenge William Ruto, if indeed you are a father, invite Butere girls during the state concert.
As we close, what happened when you were taken into police custody on Thursday? Were you asked any questions?
It was quite a dramatic moment. I was taken from Kirobon to Nakuru Central Police Station. And then they took me after 1 hour, placed me in the boot of a Subaru, and then took me in some wilderness. And to my recollection, I think it was Baringo County. So I was taken to that wilderness in fields, and they stopped at around 12 midnight. I was left in that Subaru alone, and every occupant of that Subaru disappeared.
In the boot?
No, yeah, I was left in the boot in the Subaru alone. Now, but the occupants disappeared. So I was left there thinking, I don't know what they wanted to do to me. After 1 hour, they came back, drove me to Elder Maravin Police Station. It was quite torturous for me.
Were you scared?
Very scared, of course, in the middle of nowhere at 12. You are left alone. You don't know what those people are planning in darkness.
After Elder Maravin, what did they do?
After Elder Maravin, they released me unconditionally. Nobody spoke to me. Nobody told me anything. They opened the gates of incarceration and told me, behold, walk out.
So lastly, what is it about Malala plays that attract the eye of government? You talked about Shackles of Doom and now Echoes of War.
No, I just speak on behalf of the society. That is it. We have a problem in this country. We must participate in the healing of this country. Some will choose to demonstrate. Others will choose to go to church platforms and give their solutions there. I have chosen to use the pen and the paper.
You're the people's watchman.
Oh, yes.
Cleophas Malala, good to see you.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing this. I can't wait to watch it.
I can't wait to watch it either.
Honestly. And millions of Kenyans as well.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you.
Cleophas Malala there. Controversial playwright and dramatist and director. He is insisting Echoes of War will be performed at some point. All we can say is stay tuned. Meantime, we're going to take a quick break, come back, plenty more news ahead, including weekly feature Citizen Planet. Yes, indeed.
And I did a story.
You did? Is that Sudan?
Yeah.
Aha. At Koinange Jeff.
At Obarus, at Citizen TV Kenya.
Hashtag
Sunday Live.
Sunday Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment. In the meantime, Victoria. It is exactly 57 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Sunday Live here at Citizen Television. Now, news from further afield, and as the conflict in Sudan enters its second year, the Kenyan government's association with the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF, has once again come to the fore.
Amnesty International shining a spotlight on the sexual violence women and children, get this, as young as 1. Have suffered at the hands of RSF.
Now, the International Human Rights Organization is calling an arms embargo on Sudan and has called out President William Ruto's administration for not speaking out against the use of rape by RSF as a weapon of war. Olive Burrows has more.
An Amnesty International report released on Thursday documents the use of rape as a weapon of war by the Rapid Support Forces, a paramilitary group that has for the last 2 years been engaged in a civil war against the Sudan Armed Forces. The report documents the experiences of 16 women, majority of whom are refugees in Uganda who lived through hell at the hands of RSF fighters.
We have documented in the past that both SAF and RSF have been committing acts of human rights violations on civilians. But with this particular one, we're looking at almost everyone that was interviewed spoke about the RSF armed men raping women, gang raping women.
Last month, UNICEF reported to the UN Security Council that in 2024, 221 cases of rape against children were documented in 9 states of Sudan, 147 survivors being girls and 33% boys. Disturbingly, 16 of the children were under the age of 5, including 4 one-year-olds. One of the cases documented in the Amnesty International report, titled "They Raped All of Us," is that of Batul, not her real name, a mother of 6.
I was at home with my 6 children, including my sick daughter who has a heart disease. The RSF said they were arresting me because they knew I was a nurse, and they wanted me to treat their injured soldiers. They blindfolded me and put me in a car and drove me to Al Amal Hospital in Khartoum North. They asked me to treat one of them who was critically injured. I told them that I was unable to do so because I was not a medical doctor. The injured man died the following day. On that second day, 8 RSF soldiers came to the room where I was detained. They beat me badly and then raped me one after the other. My unhealed C-section wound opened because I am diabetic and had given birth 9 months earlier.
Amnesty International is calling for protection of the civilian population through enforcement of an arms embargo, not only in Darfur, where it currently applies, but across the war-torn nation. Access to sexual and reproductive health services for survivors of rape is also a challenge. But not just in Sudan, but even for those who've sought refuge in neighboring countries, given the drastic cuts to humanitarian assistance after US aid was impaired. Amnesty International is calling on Kenya to take a stand against war crimes.
Its relationship with RSF includes spotlighting and putting at the center the human rights fundamentals in Sudan, including stepping up to be critical of the fact that a partner can commit mass rape, gang raping of women, subject women to sexual violence and sexual slavery. A partner like that needs to be called out.
All right.
Tough story.
A leadership crisis has hit the Evangelical Lutheran Church, Nyamira Diocese, as 2 rival bishops were installed in parallel ceremonies, with each faction claiming divine authority and the rightful mandate to lead.
That's right. Bernard Nyanyuki Nyakundi was consecrated at Nyamira Boys High School grounds in a ceremony officiated by the church's presiding bishop, Dr. Joseph Ochola, while Andrew Atunga Ongondo was installed in a separate event in Ogango, in the outskirts of Nyamira town. Emily Tibet, there's more.
In a faith meant to unify, a bitter division has taken root. A spiritual tug-of-war is playing out in the heart of Nyamira, where the Evangelical Lutheran Church now finds itself with not 1, but 2 bishops, 2 different ceremonies and 1 diocese. At Nyamira Boys High School, Bernard Nyanyuki Nyakundi was consecrated in a ceremony presided over by Archbishop Dr. Joseph Ochola. But just a few kilometers away at the Lutheran Church in Ogango, a parallel ceremony was taking place. Andrew Atunga Ongondo was also being consecrated, backed by a determined faction that insists their choice reflects the true voice of the people. The group is accusing the Archbishop of favoritism.
Askofu mkuu alituita mara ya pili, na probably baada ya kushawishiwa na wale wanaomuongoza. Is in captivity, is a captive of certain individuals in the name of the returning officer. Maaskofu ambao ni predecessors wake walimshauri kwamba achilia watu wa Nyamira wao na uchaguzi, ili wachague kiongozi wao na viongozi wao na wawe kitu kimoja. Lakini aliyakataa hayo.
Katika dayosisi yetu ya Nyamira, uchaguzi unafanyika katika ofisi kuu. Na ofisi kuu yetu ni hapa mahali tuliko sasa. Na uongozi wowote ambao unachaguliwa nje ya dayosisi, nje ya ofisi kuu ya dayosisi, hiyo ni kama ni uongozi usio halali.
Accusations of irregularities, 2 competing ballots, And deepening cracks within the church council have left congregants in confusion, pitting the church followers against one another.
Kwa sababu kulikuwa na uhaba wa delegates, waligeuza hata wale relatives kutoka madhehebu mengine kama Seventh Day Adventist, Roman Catholic Church na madhehebu zingine wakawa wapiga kura na wakamchagua.
The Archbishop, however, insists that leader of any diocese is consecrated by him.
This is the bishop that will represent this diocese in our church council, in all the bodies and functions of this church. Therefore, if somebody comes from somewhere claiming to be the Bishop of Nyamira, that is outside Evangelical Lutheran Church in Kenya.
Siku ya leo, kwa sababu kanisa na askofu mkuu wamekuwa pamoja nasi, wamefanya kazi yao, na wahakikishia ya kwamba kupitia nguvu zake Mwenyezi Mungu itafanya kazi katika dayosisi hii ya Nyamira. Inajua ya kwamba kuna wenzetu ambao hawako hapa, lakini nataka kusema ya kwamba mlango huu wazi.
With tensions rising and the faithful left adrift, one question lingers: when will the church that preaches unity find the humility to practice it? Emily Chebet, Citizen TV.
All right, switching gears here, and tens of families have been left homeless after their homes at Ngelani in Athi River, Machakos County, were demolished.
The residents claim the homes were destroyed by goons under the supervision of police.
On Saturday morning, Ngelani residents in Athi River woke up to a shocking incident that left 20 families homeless. This after tens of hired youth stormed Ngelani homes with crude weapons, destroying every structure of the 5-acre piece of land. Among victims of the demolition is Wangoi Waweru. She is yet to come to terms with the massive loss. She witnessed as Rodi youth reduced her multi-million shillings property into ruins.
What has happened today is extremely sad and very unfortunate. We were ambushed at 2 in the morning, no notice, nothing. Yeah. Now we have children. We don't know where to take our children. We have young children, 7 months, 8 months. Where do we sleep tonight?
Walikuwa na goons, walikuwa na miti na mapanga, walikuwa wanaingia wanatupora, wanachukua simu, wanachukua TV, gas.
As they try to salvage whatever they can from the ruins, oblivious of what the future holds, the residents blamed police for aiding and abetting the demolitions.
Jua hii gari ni ya polisi ya ukweli ama ni makaratasi walikuwa wamebandika, hatuwezi jua hawa walikuwa maafisa wa ukweli ama walikuwa, lakini walikuwa wamejihami.
The matter has since been reported at Athi River Police Station as affected families continue to call on the government to intervene. Crispino, TNO Citizen TV.
What is principle? Imagine a country where a question over the integrity of a sitting president could lead to her resignation.
That's right. Now, in terms of it may be far-fetched in this part of the world, but guess what? In Mauritius, it's a reality, as the nation's first elected female president stepped down just 3 years into her term.
Mashima Kapombesa down with Dr. Bibi Amina Firdaus Gurib Fakim, the 6th president of Mauritius, and filed this report.
A warm smile and gentle laughter set the tone for our interview with the former president of Mauritius, a woman thrust into power after years of academia, serving as professor of organic chemistry, dean of the Faculty of Science, and pro-vice-chancellor at the University of Mauritius.
I always describe myself as being the accidental president. And while I was minding my own business, the group, the consortium of 3 parties decided that we would push my name forward as president. As I had nothing to lose, I said, why not? Because I had the appetite to take risk right across my career. And they went with my name for president, and they won, and I became president.
Between 2015 and 2018, Dr. Bibi Amina embraced the challenge, letting her background in science and her identity as a woman shape her approach to leadership.
First of all, I think I broke the mindset that a woman cannot be at the helm. And whether we like it or not, we still live in a male-dominated world. The second thing I wanted to define my presidency was through the lens of science and sustainable development. And I was kind of lucky in a way because the 2015, the last quarter of 2015 was very important because we've had the SDG voted at the UN in September 2015, and then we had the Paris conference. And that was the first really successful COP that the world had seen.
So a lot of successes in your tenure, but also you resigned.
Yes.
Why?
I resigned because, when I was when I was at the presidency, I worked with the Gates Foundation, and I was pushing for precisely the innovation gender agenda. And interestingly, I was given a credit card to use, and who uses a credit card is the most transparent way of spending. And one of these days, I just woke up, looked at the newspaper, and all my bank details were in the press. And there my personal details were all there. And no media reported on the fact that I had refunded everything on the credit card 1 year before my details were leaked. And interestingly, this makes a great platform to seek my removal. So I was removed from office and I was forced to resign because I had used a credit card which I had refunded 1 year ago.
In this part of the world, people don't resign. Could you talk to us about that part of integrity of our leaders where if there are questions on their integrity, then you can step back?
I resigned precisely at that level because there cannot be perception that the Prime Minister and the President, they're not functioning, they're not speaking term. So I left on that basis, and I'm very happy because at the end of the day, it's the integrity, it's the reputation, and also it's the function of an institution that matter more than personal agendas.
Yeah. A commission of inquiry was launched after her resignation amid accusations of a conflict of interest in her role as a state officer. But despite numerous hearings over the years, the inquiry was never concluded. Even after leaving office, the former president remains active, championing a stronger, more united Africa. The Trump tariffs, it's really made the global trade order come undone. And I've seen a lot of nations have come out with retaliatory tariffs. Can Africa also have a response? Would you expect Africa to have one?
You know, what is happening right now, we are living in the era of uncertainty. And this will have a big impact on investment because no investors will want to invest in that climate. But I think I go beyond the negatives. I think it's time now for Africa to rethink her strategy, rethink the aid strategy. I know that aid, for example, in Kenya has helped a great deal with PEPFAR and a few initiatives. But as has been said before, aid support has been a tried and tested method, but it's time to call for a new method.
How do you think then they can get to that place where they can speak in one voice?
African countries, I think they have all deposited instruments for the Africa Free Trade Agreement, the AfCFTA. Mind you, one of the biggest and most integrated continent is Europe, where they have over 75% integration. But Africa, we are just under 20%, but we are still nascent in terms of the signing of this agreement. But I think it's a very powerful tool to ensure that we trade more with each other and we start recognizing what our neighbors have been developing and learn from each other. And already we find that the BRICS is there, and the BRICS is already 60% of the world global population. The BRICS GDP has exceeded that of G7. And the BRICS is at the cusp of making a big dent in world trade. So it is time now that the current climate is there to really look at partnership, and this will be the salvation for the future.
Yeah. Mauritius has consistently ranked among the most peaceful countries in Africa and one of the continent's most competitive and developed economies. The government offers free universal healthcare, free education all the way to university, and free public transport for students, senior citizens, and people with disabilities. So what lessons can Kenya draw from this small island nation?
We already partner with Kenya. We have banking sector is a partnership. In many other sectors, we do actually partner with Kenya. But we'd like to see more. And one area where we can learn from Kenya is precisely within the energy sector. Kenya is already quite big in the geothermal, for example, and we are increasingly looking at clean energy. So learning from Kenya is very, very important. And also, Kenya has a very youthful population, and through this, and Kenya has been a giant in mobile money.
In conclusion, what should former presidents do once they are out of office? Because in this part of the world, it becomes a bit difficult. There are tensions between former leaders and current leaders. How is your situation in Mauritius? Do you play a role in terms of advice, or can you sit down with the current president and have a conversation on how to lead the country forward?
You know, I'm so involved internationally. I'm very involved with Africa. And I have been given really a megaphone after the presidency. So by ricochet, my country is benefiting. So I do that. And my task has been made easier, in as much as I'm a scientist, I'm a woman, and I bring to the table a new narrative. That's what Africans and the world want to see. So that's what I do. So I'm at the service of the continent and globally, and I'm very happy doing that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Oh, nice interview there with Mauritius's former president, huh? Very nice.
Stepping down from office, not an easy thing.
Imagine that. Takes a lot of guts. All right, let's switch on to our weekly feature, Citizen Planet. And what becomes of paper once it's done its job? A scribbled notebook, yesterday's newspaper, or that paper bag from a quick delivery? Well, while most of us throw it away without a second glance, a group of visionary youth in Naivasha sees the possibility where others see waste.
That's right. They're transforming a discarded paper into something powerful, standing aids and wheelchairs that are changing the lives of children living with disabilities. Agnes Sulu produced this inspiring story on Citizen Planet tonight.
In the quiet village of Kinamba, Naivasha, 13-year-old Anne Nyambura faces the world from a seated position, her young body battling the weight of hydrocephalus, a condition that has robbed her of the ability to stand. But where many see limitation, her father sees possibility. With unwavering hope and a heart full of dreams for his daughter, he searches far and wide, chasing every treatment, every tool, every flicker of hope to help Anne rise and one day reach for the stars.
Nimekuwa nikienda Kijabe Clinic, na nilipokuwa nikienda nikawa nikiwauliza kama kuna kitu yanaweza kumsaidia kusimama.
Just a few kilometers away in Kayole village, still in Naivasha, a once quiet and heavy heart now beams with joy. Good. Mercy Nyambura is a mother transformed. Her days are now filled with laughter and learning as she cares for her 2-year-old son who lives with cerebral palsy. Every day, she searched for what was best for him, embracing the journey with love, patience, and fierce determination.
Tumekuwa tukiulizia Jian vile anaweza keti, na hapo ndo tulikuja tukauliza watu wa Jian Care tunaweza pata wapi kiti. Juu tulikuwa tunaona huko kuna tuviti tuzuri wanaweza kaa.
To the naked eye, these chairs and standing aids look ordinary, even and remarkable. But look a little closer and you'll find something extraordinary. These life-changing tools are crafted from waste paper. They've become symbols of possibility, giving Stephen and Mercy new hope for their children's futures. So, how do paper scraps turn into powerful tools of mobility and independence? Let's take you to where it all begins. It all starts at collection points like the bustling scene in this cafe. Here, Ernest Karaoke is part of the appropriate paper-based technology team, a group that sees paper in a way that most don't, as more than just something to write on.
Kila karatasi kuna place inatumika. Yeah.
At this center, paper waste is carefully sorted, then transformed. Boxes are layered one upon the other using a sticky wheat flour paste.
From this board, ndipo tunachora the device that we want to make.
For 2 years now, this workshop has been a beacon of hope, receiving orders from those in desperate need of assistive devices. Devices that remain out of reach for so many. Every step is a vital part of the transformation, and discarded paper is reimagined into life-changing tools.
Naunganisha. Ikiwa complete vizuri, ndio natumia the karatasi za Saron.
Hii tunaweka tu kwa corners peke yake, lakini hii ya white na brown pia tunaweka kwa nini yote, kwa device yote. Tukimaliza kuweka brown itakaa kama hiyo. Tunapatia time kidogo inakauka, alafu tunapaka rangi.
Jessica Matombai, an occupational therapist, finds purpose in working with children living with disabilities. She deeply understands the challenges parents face in supporting their children's unique needs, not just as a professional, but with empathy and experience.
We often find that families, they don't have special equipment or access to wheelchairs or special seating aids. And so they're left putting their child on the sofa or lying on the bed all day, to the point that they were actually like stuck in a position like this because they had been lying for so long.
Jessica demonstrates why assistive devices made from waste paper are a game changer for children like Anne and Jian, offering them newfound independence and hope for a brighter future.
Many of these children, they have very weak head control, and so they're not able to hold their heads upright. So that's why we put a special wedge underneath so that they can be on a firm, secure surface and safe, but at the same time it helps so they can stay in an upright position.
Through the innovation of assistive paper technology, parents are gradually finding a renewed sense of hope. Their children, once limited by their conditions, are now sitting upright, some even standing, and engaging with their surroundings in ways they never thought possible.
Nilileta hapa ni mwaka jana na hakuwa na nasimama, miguu yote ilikuwa milegevu. Lakini kwa sasa hata ukimsimamisha yeye mwenyewe unaona bado hajarecover vile, lakini hii mguu moja ina uwezo wa kusimama.
Nikaona Jiana akikalia hiyo kiti anatulia vizuri, kwa najua akilala sana imsaidi. Najua si kazi rahisi, lakini kusema tu hawa watoto wanafaa kulelewa vizuri kama watoto wale wengine.
While these assistive devices do come at a cost, they're a fraction of the price of conventional alternatives, proving that life-changing support doesn't have to break the bank.
We only charge 2,000 to get this device. But again, if you don't have the 2,000, we are very happy to give it to the parent and to the child who needs
When burned, organic materials like paper release hazardous gases that pollute the air, fuel global warming, and leave behind chemical residues that harm soil health. But for those transforming waste paper into assistive devices, the impact goes far beyond innovation. They are not only restoring hope to families, they also help protect the planet one sheet at a time.
Great story there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Very inspiring.
Very. The assistive devices, standing aids and seats.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah.
Well done.
Really good.
Should we switch gears here?
Yes. And Musi FM, the most popular Kamba radio station, presenters worshipped, entertained and met their fans from Mlolongo and Athi River in Mavoko constituency during a church storm crusade held today. That's right. The Musi FM Kitembeo crusade was held at Sanctuary of Love Worship Center in Mlolongo in Mavoko sub-county, Machakos County. The fans had a good time as they interacted with their favorite presenters. Christine Danu, the head of radio Musi FM, said besides the entertainment, the Musi FM family also helped the church in fundraising.
Nimetoka mbali kwa ajili ya kuja kuona na pia kushukuru na pia kuimba na waimbaji wenzangu na kuhubiri pamoja tukiwa na Musi FM. Tunashukuru Musi FM kwa ajili ya kueneza injili na kwa ajili ya bidii ambao wamefanya ili tuone tumehubiri neno la Mungu.
Leo tumekuja hapa Mlolongo tukashiriki na kanisa tukajenga, sababu Biblia inasema tujenge kanisa la Bwana, and we are so happy that tumekuwa na mashabiki wetu siku ya leo. Tumeshiriki na washirika wa Sanctuary of Love Worship Center in Mlolongo. Tumeabudu nao na pia tumekuja kwa ajili ya kujenga kanisa. Mashabiki wamejitokeza kwa wingi kuabudu nasi na tunawashukuru na wazidi kusikiza Musi FM.
Musi FM, one of our stable of 13, is it 14 radio stations?
Kidembeo.
Kidembeo. Did I say it right?
Yeah, close enough.
Let's take a break now. Come back. Sports is up next. In the meantime, keep tweeting. Lots of reactions to Cleophas Malala. We're going to be reading those later on. In the meantime, at Kwenenga Jeff.
At O Burrows, at Citizen TV Kenya.
# is Sunday Live.